What's up, cool people? Welcome to another kind of chill hangout live stream session thing. So, honestly, my motivation to keep doing the side quest stuff in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is kind of lacking. So, I'm gonna change things up a little bit. And because there's also a special event going on in Gems of War, I'm gonna focus on that for today. So yeah. Otherwise, we're just doing our usual hanging out, chilling, chatting about whatever. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of things right now. I also got, other things going on personally that I could talk more about, but I'll save that for when we actually get into the streaming and gaming and hanging out. So, let me run the early Twitch ads, and then we will get right to that. Okay. It is at this point that I will be reducing, in fact, probably just straight up eliminating my own background music right now. Getting into this. Alrighty. So, one quick little thing while the Twitch viewers are still on ad break. So work stuff has been, I don't know. It's not like it's been bad or anything. It's just this past week in particular has been a little hectic. Not necessarily to like a terrible extent, but there was just kind of really suddenly, I want to say on Tuesday, just kind of a rush placed on a whole bunch of a particular unit that they sell there. So, like, and that came up while I was in the middle of making kits for a different type of unit. So, I had to wait until I was done with that to then start the new stuff. And then that, like half the new stuff took about a day, and then the other half took most of the next day. But anyway, we'll see where things stand with that next week. Alright, so now that everybody's here, right now in Gems of War, there's a particular event going on called Legends Reborn. This comes around every once in a while. I couldn't tell you offhand how often. It's less than monthly, even. Maybe like once a quarter or something. So what'll happen is it'll give you points towards these different rewards just for defeating like a certain type of enemy or something like that. And if you're so inclined, you could spend real-world money on this stuff. I don't. I usually wait until I get all the free levels, and then I'm like, okay, since I know I'll get everything, I might also use the gems, since they're, in-game currency, and get some of the extra rewards that way. But the real thrust, I suppose, of the Legends Reborn events boils down to you end up replaying essentially the initial like kingdom story campaign thing for a particular kingdom in the game. And through doing that, you also get other rewards and such. Right now, I'm wanting to go look at that pet that I've got. Do all that stuff with raising the level cap, maxing it out. And a lot of the pets that'll come with Legends Reborn events are like troop exclusive. But they'll boost the stats for that particular troop, which means you might want to think about using that troop a little bit more. Or you might want to think a little more about using that particular troop in your teams in the future, since you have a pet that boosts their stats. But anyway, so actually, if I go to the kingdom in question, you can also see the Legends Reborn event show up there. So I did a little bit of the campaign this time around already, but it literally walks you through all the story beats again and has you go through all the battles. But you can use whatever team you want. There are no team restrictions or limitations or anything like that. So I'm going to use my main team that I use most often for most events, just because not only is it fairly quick, but, you know, it also gives you some extra gold very easily in every battle. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot more to the Legends Reborn events. I just kind of felt like hopping into this, partially due to the lack of birth by sleep motivation, and because this is on top of all the normal stuff in Gems of War. Also, I see a Hydrate Redemption from TV Antenna. Hello, welcome, hope you're having a good day, and this is for you. Oh yeah, I'm using this right now instead of my usual water bottle, because I wanted the water in that bottle to actually, like, you know, get colder. I don't know about you all, but I prefer drinking cold water. And so I guess, yeah, oh yeah, so it'll actually give you the little, like, story stuff for the kingdom like that, but really it's all stuff, it's all the same stuff that should have come up when, like, initially unlocking the kingdom in the game. Yeah, I guess eventually, upon completing the story, if not a bit sooner, there's supposed to be some sort of other extra reward. So, other things going on in my life personally, I have kinda, sort of, slightly begun the, apartment searching process. I mean, I guess I was looking at some stuff online the past month or so before this, but this past Tuesday was the first day that I actually, like, went and took a tour of any of the apartments I looked at. the ones I toured this time were basically right across the street from where I work. So, obviously the location would be really convenient. But there's some other stuff that it's just notably less convenient. Like the fact that the way the apartments are designed and where they're built, they're like on top of a group of shops. So literally every apartment option, you have to go upstairs. Which, I mean, there's all sorts of apartment complexes where you have to go upstairs. It's not that big a deal. Just a minor inconvenience. But, some slightly worse stuff. If I tried to go for a studio apartment, literally those don't even have ovens. They've got a couple of like stovetop burners. I don't know if the microwave is built in or not, but that's not a big deal. I have my own microwave. And honestly, if I did move into that kind of situation, I would probably do a lot of my cooking with my new, as of this past Christmas, slow cooker that I got as a gift. But really probably the most annoying / least convenient thing about those apartments comes down to the laundry. There are no laundry hookups in the apartments, at least not your typical large machine hookups. I might be able to rig up, you know, using my own machines like I did in Texas. I'm just not 100% sure if the faucets will actually work with that. I gotta have some faucets somewhere or another that is also close to a place I can drain the water for the washing machine. Like, it's gotta have a special kind of hookup. Or maybe it's not that special, but I just know I had to buy an adapter to hook it up to the bathroom sink in Texas. And that gives it these sort of like quick connect thing, which I think is really the only way that you can connect it. Like, I'm pretty sure the washing machine had to connect to the quick connect spout or whatever, the attachment. It was just an adapter might be needed to be able to hook that attachment up to any given sink. I don't know. Now, when I was there touring and they showed me the laundry facility, it's like there was only one person using that at the time. Granted, there was only like maybe 3 or 4 machines each of washer and dryer. But anyway, the main inconvenience is that the laundry is paid to use their machines. Now, if I could hook up my own washer and dryer stuff, that would be fine and not really much of an issue. But then there was just, like, I got there a bit early and the main office was locked. And it's like, okay, I guess I can understand since they're smack dab in the middle of the city. Not like a super big city, but still a city. And I don't know, I guess maybe the problem is I just showed up too early, and the lady who, like, kind of owns and manages the apartments, or at least manages them, was not in the office at that moment, and so because she was out, the door was locked, so as to not have random people going into said office when she's not even there. And anyway, point being, some of the vibe I got from it was not exactly like shady or anything, but it was a little bit, I don't know, it gave an air of like, I mean, it did also give an air of like being kind of slightly run down. Now, she did mention there were, you know, repairs and stuff that were going to be in the works. So, I mean, it's nice to know that they're at least trying to keep up with repairs and things that need to be done there. So I guess the office being closed in particular kind of gave me an air of like, well, how available are people on staff really going to be to help with things if, like, you know, the air conditioning breaks down or stuff like that. It's... So yeah, it gave a slight air of, I guess, not being quite as hospitable as it could be, I guess is what I'm going for. So anyway, there was all that. But I may also slightly increase my rent price range for apartments I'm looking at, because I've also, in the past couple of months, realized that there is a monthly bonus that they call it an attendance bonus, which I guess is how they worked it out. There used to be some, like, yearly bonus kind of thing, but I guess people, like, wanted it more often, or maybe even, like, accounting people thought it would be less of a strain at one particular time of the year if they then spread that out to a monthly basis, which I can kind of understand that stuff, sure. It's just, my understanding is it didn't used to be any kind of attendance based, but now it is. So, like, you have to not have any attendance issues for the whole month, and then there's a bonus that kicks in. It's not, like, a big amount, but it's, you know, it is large enough to just be a slight bump up and have me, like, you know, okay, maybe I could add another $100 a month to my range of acceptable rent prices. So yeah. With that in mind, there are a couple of apartment complexes that I might not so much have considered before that now I might. Because it's like their lower end stuff was at the upper end of my range, if not past that, before I came to this realization about the monthly attendance bonus at work. But in any case, I'm like not especially in any kind of rush to find a place. Really, as long as I get it figured out before my current change of address expires. That would be preferred. So then I don't have to, like... Then I think after the initial 6-month period of it being a temporary change of address, then I would have to, if I'm going to renew the same address, make it a permanent change. And I think, so I made that change in, it was either very late February or early March. So basically, if it was really late February, then you got March, April, May, June, July. Really late August is when I would have to, you know, either renew that or change my address again. So that's when I would like to have the whole apartment situation figured out. Sometime before that. But, yeah. Otherwise, not too much going on, really. Sorry about the yawn. I will confess, most nights throughout the work week, I do not end up getting a full 8 hours of sleep. It's usually closer to 6. Sometimes I get 7. But it's just, you know, between working a 10-hour shift and then coming back, you know, doing my daily devotional, because I'm not doing those first thing in the morning when I'm waking up at like 3:15. So on work days, I do that after work. But then between that and maybe trying to slip in a little video editing, or like even just, you know, publishing the video links out to social media pages and stuff like that. Basically wanting to get any semblance of anything else done before having dinner. Yeah. It just kinda... ends up being where, you know, I do a little bit of that stuff, and then I have dinner, and then there's a little bit of time I'm spending, you know, with, I mean, kinda with family. At least being around them in the current situation. And then it's like, okay, well, after maybe like an hour or so of that, then I come back downstairs, I kind of settle down for the day, you know, do my usual getting ready for bed stuff. Maybe one other little thing or two. But that's it. Like, that's my day. And even with so little happening in my day, at least outside of work, I still am generally only getting like 6 to 7 hours of sleep each night. I am also kind of sort of starting to come to a conclusion based on how I've felt roughly this past week or so. Just at times I've felt a little more lethargic and or like maybe even slightly it's like possibly a little bit lightheaded in some moments. I don't know. Anyway, there's stuff that I've been feeling very occasionally, but still a little bit over the past week or so that I didn't necessarily feel while I was taking my up to that point prescribed vitamin D supplement. And I kind of wanted to be more sure that it was actually making a difference before then just diving in and purchasing any over-the-counter vitamin D supplements, but I don't know. Unless this week is just a one-off kind of situation that I've been feeling because of the extra hecticness of work. Which, maybe I should give it some time to make sure that that's not what's going on. But otherwise, yeah, about the only difference I can point to is the lack of vitamin D supplement. Okay, so now that I've completed the story campaign thing in this event, I can claim those rewards you see off to the left. And that one, yeah, increases skill points for the Grand Inquisitor troop. And I guess that's it. Previous times when this event came around, there would be like multiple different things that you would kind of unlock through, you know, doing the campaign multiple times over. I guess they've changed it to where that's not the case now. Which I don't necessarily mind, because that means then I can do more of some other things. Hey, got an Orb of Ascension there. Haven't gotten one of those in a while. It seems like the past 5 Orbs of Chaos that I've gotten have become Orbs of Wisdom, which isn't the worst. I'd rather get those than Orbs of Growth, but still. Orbs of Ascension are the ones that I'm, like, always lacking. So now I'm gonna focus on this invasion event. You know, to help my guild out. So, just one thing I'll note that's completely unrelated to anything else that I've mentioned today, or isn't even related to the game or anything like that. Only to the stream, really. I've noticed since moving back to Pennsylvania that my streams have been dropping frames far less often. So I think maybe the issue with all the dropped frames was my internet back in Texas. I will admit, I did not get like the most expensive, highest speed internet plan that my provider had available. So, there is that. But yeah. I have not changed any of my equipment. I have, like, there's nothing else related to my stream setup that would have changed that could possibly have resulted in fewer dropped frames in stream, except the, you know, using a different internet signal. That is probably a faster and possibly better in other ways internet signal. Anyway. Man, I've been really wordy today in some moments. Apologies if that makes what I'm saying confusing. Feel free to ask me to reword something if you're not understanding what I'm saying, like, ever. Or if at any time you are not understanding what I'm saying, please ask me to reword it. I understand this game might not be of particular interest to a lot of people. It's not exactly filled with lots of action or anything like that. Or story, or there's a whole bunch of things you could argue that it lacks compared to, you know, a lot of games out there. But that's why I will probably only end up playing this for like an hour or two before I just kind of sign off stream and shift my focus more to some other editing and stuff like that that I have to do. You see, that's another thing. I've been, like, just keeping up. Maybe slightly more than just keeping up with, you know, my weekly video output and getting those edited each week and all that kind of stuff. One thing I've really not been keeping up with is editing short videos. Although I don't think any of you would know if I didn't say anything about it. Unless you're observant enough to realize that the stuff behind me in all those short videos has still been the Texas setup. And the crazy part is I've probably got another month or two worth of short videos already edited in the backlog. So I've literally just been going through the ones that I had already made before moving to Pennsylvania and just uploading those, publishing them, sharing them on the socials, and yeah. I have not edited anything new on that front since moving away from Texas. Oh, man. Again, apologies for the yawning. Yeah, as far as the whole keeping up with videos thing is concerned, I also just had the thought, like, you know, I was really close to being a regular active part of a third channel before the whole moving to Pennsylvania situation and the new job and all that. And I'm really thinking like, I don't know, unless finding my own apartment and moving out of my parents' place then just gives me that much more free time on a regular basis to do more editing and stuff. I'm kind of thinking that whole third channel might not really happen for me. Now, for anyone who's thinking, wait, third channel? I didn't even know you had a second one. Yeah. There is a second one, and that's still active. It's not just me, it's like pretty much the whole channel, and every video on there is essentially a collab, sort of. Channel's called Same Spirit Gaming. If you like my stuff, definitely go check that out. It's a slightly different way of combining gaming and Bible study discussions and stuff. But that's the second channel. There would be a third one, potentially. Or at least would have been, given my situation in Texas. Then again, I would have had to find another job even if I stayed there, and that probably would have taken a significant amount of time away from the possibility of adding more channels and content to my weekly schedule. Although the new one, I don't know if we were necessarily recording things every week. Then again, maybe I should just end the stream after like 1 hour and take a nap. If I'm really somehow that tired. Although some of it could honestly just be the game that I'm playing. Like, this is not one where I feel like I have to concentrate real hard. So since I'm not concentrating real hard, I'm just like, okay, whatever. And my body and my brain feel like they can relax. But even just 1 hour dedicated solely to this and getting through stuff is possibly going to do quite a lot for how much I can get through in Gems of War this week. Because for the most part, since the move and the new job, I've really only been playing this while I'm also editing videos. And if any of those edits get a little bit more, I don't know if intense is quite the right word, but if they get a little, if they get to a point where it just isn't really reasonable to keep my attention going back and forth, then I'm not really actively playing Gems of War. I might put it on an auto battle kind of situation, but those go a lot slower than if I'm controlling it myself. The other thing I could do for the stream, you know, to really throw a curveball at myself, would be to hop back into some Power Wash Simulator, but that's also not an especially active game, and it's also one that I could easily feel just as tired and, like, not super attentive. So after I wrap up any of this invasion type stuff that I can do, time allowing, which I imagine it will, especially if I go closer to 2 hours for the stream, then I think I'd probably just hop into the Underspire, or maybe I'd do some other like daily stuff first. I don't know. That's something I've also been just kind of lacking activity in with this game. Because, you know, first and foremost, I try and do the things that are most going to help my guild, which will be these types of events so that we can all collectively get these rewards here. Then next comes, okay, well, I want to get my guild seals up as high as I can, which PvP is fairly efficient for accomplishing that. So, week to week, those have been kind of my my top priorities. Almost said prop priorities there. Tells you how much my brain has checked out. But yeah, those two things usually end up being top priorities for each week, and then after that I get into other like daily events or just other random stuff. Because part of the reason to want more guild seals for the week, A, is just to have them. Because guild seals can then be used to open guild chests, and that's actually one kind of easy built-in way to possibly get some of the new troops when they come around. Every month they have a new mythic troop available, which mythic is the highest troop rarity in the game. And the only ways to get those new mythic troops each month, at least for that month, then, is essentially there's like technically 4 different kinds of chests you could get them from. Guild chests are one of them, and it's like there's literally no other purpose for guild chests or anything like that. So like, why not stockpile your seals and use them for that each month? But then, otherwise, you're starting to use some of the other in-game currencies that are maybe a little bit harder to stockpile. Because either they're less common or they get used more often. Or both. But yeah. Sorry, man. I really didn't think I'd be feeling this tired. Especially not this soon into the stream, but you know what it is? It's probably because I ate just a little bit before. Main reason I'm streaming right now instead of, you know, some other time in the day is because I'm trying to take advantage of when the house is otherwise empty. Which, that's something that could definitely change once I find my own place around here. Because I would not feel any semblance of needing or even attempting to work around, you know, other people's schedules and things like that. So, yeah, then I would maybe lean a little bit more towards Friday and Saturday evenings. Early evenings, but still evenings to do my streams. Alright. I'll be honest, I'm getting a little bored of that. So, I mean, I could do the dungeon. There's not too much here that I feel like I really want, other than I could definitely go for these gems here. Okay, it also honestly feels just a little bit warm in this room. Maybe I should turn the temperature down a little bit. It's been it wasn't like a super sudden transition between, you know, being cool enough to merit more of a wintry jacket and then being warm enough to where, honestly, I could, at least in the afternoons, end up wearing shorts outside most days. But I think we've pretty much gotten to the latter point out of those two. So, of course, eventually it's gonna just consistently be warm enough, probably for at least a month or two, if not more, where, like, I could pretty much wear shorts anytime, any day. Combination of not exactly getting mountains of sleep and feeling maybe a little bit warm lately, and just not having to, like, super duper engage my brain. Yeah, leaves me feeling a little tired. I think once I wrap up this battle in the game, not that I have to wait until the battle is done, but yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna make a little temperature adjustment, at least in between battles here. And while I'm working on that, I might also just run the next set of ads on Twitch, because not like y'all really need to see me mess around with temperature stuff. Okay. Suppose I could choose to brighten up the room a little bit too and see if that helps with how tired I'm feeling. But it doesn't really strike me as something that, like, really would happen all that much. I don't know. I'm even tired enough, I'm kind of like halfway losing some of my trains of thought mid-sentence. Okay, so they do heal when that happens. Fertile blue gems to green dragon gems. Eh. Good grief. And this enemy just continually being able to heal and extend this battle out. It's really not helping things. Yeah, that did not help me at all right there. Hey, okay. Now maybe I can get a new dragon. That would be a little more helpful. Yeah, I'd say that one, I mean, I'm pretty sure that one's at least able to deal some damage. So, might actually help me a little more with finishing this battle, although that could happen. Alright. Maybe I could get another bombot in here and make it explode and deal some damage that way. Then again, if they're just gonna gift wrap attacks to me, then sure. Oh, hello. A pet is in need of rescue. And I have not fully maxed it out. Okay, tell you what. Real quick. Just adjusting my little temperature control thingy there down some. Why did I sneak that move there? Alright, well, the eight battles for this pet rescue event should probably take me right up until about the next Twitch ad break, at least. So, another somewhat random, but not an entirely random work-related thought. It actually relates to, like, you know, the temperature and how it's been getting warmer each day. Like, I think kind of the back and forth of, like, okay, well, it's cool enough in the mornings to merit, like, at least a light jacket and some stuff like that, and probably not wear shorts. But then in the afternoon gets to the point of, like, yeah, I could definitely wear shorts. And the fact that there's not exactly a whole lot of temperature controlling ability at my place of work. Especially when they frequently have particular large doors open. Like for trucks to come in and deliver shipments, or for them to send shipments out, or things like that. Yeah, it's just, inside ends up feeling a lot like what outside feels like. Throughout significant portions of the manufacturing plant. But my area in particular, there are no windows nearby. There's not really anywhere to put any kind of air conditioning unit. Like, I could maybe plug in a fan and have that going to try and cool things down. But also, those big doors that open up for shipments and the like, none of those are anywhere near my workstation. So, essentially, there's, like, no air circulation around me when I'm at work. So, yeah, that, So far, it hasn't really been what I would consider a significant problem, but it's been noticeable to the point where if it starts getting a whole lot warmer than it has been, which eventually it will in the summer, yeah, that would be a bit of a problem, especially without having any kind of a fan or anything like that. Yeah, so, kind of back on the train of thought related to how much time I have in the day and what all I'm doing on a daily basis. I just, like, it's also part of the reason why it feels maybe not exactly ideal to try and get myself involved in too many things at church or otherwise before I find my own apartment. I do think finding my own place is going to probably at least add a bit more spare time each day. Plus, I will even more so be able to shift some things around to my own schedule and, like, you know, not have to put any thought into working around what other people are doing, you know, within the same house. Alright, Twitch ads are kicking in soon. do I have enough copies of this pet now to upgrade it? No. Okay. Nothing there. I want to open it up. Alright. I'd like to at least finish off the dungeon. And then, I don't know. It's like... I'm feeling quite a bit more tired than I thought I would. I might honestly end up making this stream really short. Okay, Twitch ads are in progress. Okay. Oh, come on, really? Well, however much longer I keep the stream going, which is probably not going to be much, I can at least say I, you know, went through the Legends Reborn event, which I would say was kind of the main thing. That is kind of, you know, how I titled the stream, and probably gave the impression that way that that was going to be like the main focus. I just realized with this dragon that popped in the team order. Well, never mind. I was gonna say that means my egg thief is practically never gonna get enough mana to use her spell thing. But never mind. Because the dragon died. Oh, hey, Zent, howdy. What you up to? And how goes it? I've been keeping up with all of your videos lately. Not necessarily locked in paying attention to all of them, if I'm completely honest, but how goes it for me? I'm kind of tired today, but otherwise fine. I guess because I ate right before starting this stream, and, you know, it's at that time where it's just starting to get a little warmer, so I'm kind of having to get used to that for the year, and then just not necessarily getting tons of sleep throughout the week. I'm not like super duper lacking sleep, but anyway, needless to say, there's a couple of different factors that might contribute a little bit to me feeling sort of tired right now. But yeah, I've kind of been looking at apartments and stuff not in a rush to decide on any though, which means the one place that I looked at that was like, okay, like this is okay. I could live with this, but Anyway, I'm realizing there must be a bit of a delay in between what I'm saying and what you're putting in chat, or vice versa. Anyway, done with all your in-person classes. Oh, nice. So, does that mean you're basically done with your semester? I mean, I guess you say in-person. I guess that means there's some online stuff probably that is still left to do. Anyway, and then as far as your content goes, it's I'm trying to think of how to word it. I mean, it's good. I find it enjoyable. Not like, you know, sitting at the edge of my seat kind of engaging or anything like that. But, you know, it's gaming stuff. I like gaming stuff. And, like, I'm still not really totally sure, maybe because I wasn't watching super closely, how you dealt with that one, like, dancing enemy dude in the Lost Hero game, or whatever that's called. The Last Hero, maybe, of Nostalgaia. That one. But yeah, that looked like a tough battle. But, I don't know, ever since my, my subscriptions page, like the overall broad page, got to a point where, probably because I'm subscribed to a few too many channels on YouTube, it's like, it got to a point where it was so full and backlogged that it was like the page was just stalling out whenever I would try to scroll all the way down to whatever the actual next video in the sequence would be. So I had to start picking and choosing, okay, which channels am I going to prioritize? Oh, also, we've got Rain, perhaps also known as Roxy, over on YouTube. Hello. You ask if I'm new to YouTube. Not really new. I've had the channel active for a number of years now. It's just, I've had all sorts of changes through the years to frequency of videos, to whether or not I stream, and all sorts of different things like that, and just like kind of I've slowly shaped it into what it is now, and it's like, I think partially because of that, and because, you know, let's face it, gaming content is a bit of a saturated market. I just think for reasons like that, I have not exactly picked up a whole bunch of subscribers and other, you know, like, engagement relative to some of the other channels out there. Anyway, sorry, now I'm going back and forth between YouTube and Twitch chats. Just trying to make sure I'm not missing too much of anything. So Zent's saying it's up in the air if I try to do more for the one online class. Okay. Now I know my little sister, who is in college, she is going to do, I think, at least one, like, summer class online. I don't know if you have any plans of doing anything like that over the summer. Really, the only time... There was, I think, only one time when I was going through college that I ever did a class that wasn't during one of the main, you know, spring or fall terms. And the one time that I did more than that, it was just like... they had an extra, like, really short kind of January mini term, you could say. Fairly large delay between when I type in the Twitch chat and when you see it. Yeah. So it seems. I don't know how it got that bad. Normally it's not too out of sync like that. I mean, I did drop a few thousand frames early on in the stream. So maybe that's it, but I wouldn't have expected it to be this bad from the number of frames that it was. Have no desire to do class over the summer. Yeah. I hear you on that. Especially the summer. Like I said, I did a January thing one time. Of course, I also finished the semester early due to credits I entered college with. So, eh. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to do classes over the summer. So, in other news, since you probably weren't here earlier, Zent, I mentioned a little bit about my work situation and just how, like, it's pretty much just kind of chugging along. Other than this past week, we got kind of a bit of a rush job on some stuff. So, the order in which we did a little bit kind of changed. Anyways, Zent, you could try hopping over to the YouTube chat. I don't know if that'll be less of a problem than Twitch. But, I mean, if you want to give it a try, sure. Plus, I think that'll count towards my hours watched that, you know, I need to hit the benchmarks of unlocking monetization stuff. Just saying. Oh, hey. Now Rain Roxy is over on Twitch. Okay. Hold up. We might have a swapping of people between the different channels. Or was it really just that much? No, I don't think it was that much more delayed. Like, I wouldn't think YouTube is that much further ahead of what's happening on Twitch. Anyway. So anyway, yeah, work stuff. Just kind of like... There was some stuff done slightly out of order, because, like, the normal procedure is, okay, well, we have kind of an idea that we need to get some of these units out the door. So then I'll make some component kits to... trying to think of how to say it. I'll make some kits full of components to then prepare for the assembly team, who then put those into some of the bigger pieces to, like... then really more so actually, like, make the units that then get shipped out. Sense like the YouTube chat isn't showing up for me. Looks over to YouTube. Oh, wait, never mind. And I really gotta watch out for this thing here. This is still something I haven't... literally just signed up to Twitch. Ah, okay. That makes you not only a first-time chatter on my channel, but, like, on Twitch in general, I guess. So, usual work procedure is I make kit. It, gets handed off to the assembly team, and then they make the units that need to be shipped. There was a little bit of that got kind of slightly mixed up this past week, especially yesterday. It was like, because we had a rush job on certain kits, because we had a rush job on certain units that needed to be shipped, they were already kind of wanting to start working on some of the stuff that I was in the middle of making kits for. So, like, they were coming out to me and either grabbing components from the kits that I had already placed in the bins to prepare for them before I had completed them fully, or it was like there was just a handful of them that somebody went and got those off the shelves himself to then use those before I was even able to get them into the bins for the kits. Like, and it's just one of those things where the only reason it was anything like that is because it was so much of a rush job. It was like, okay, partway through the day, on this day, it's like, there's a meeting, and then we basically hear from the guy that kind of manages all that it's like, all right, this right here is top priority right now, ASAP. As soon as we can get all these out the door, we're doing it. But, like, he's not necessarily one to try and make anybody feel super pressured. But even despite that, it was like, yeah, we're doing this as soon as we reasonably can. Like, I don't know. That was really it as far as, you know, work pressure or stress or anything being hectic. And what was a little bit funny about the whole situation was that, like, I had cut some wire for some of those units that were getting rushed just before we found out that there needed to be a rush on them. And then, as I was in the middle of doing that, I got the impression that there was a different kind of unit that should have been prioritized. So I started making kits for that other type of unit. But then, after the one meeting, he came back and is like, nope, we need this to be rushed now. But then I had to, like, finish up, because just, there's all sorts of stuff that can get screwy if I start making a kit and don't finish it. So, anyway, it was just a little something that deviated from the norm a little bit, but, you know, it's... The whole crew there are just the type to kind of roll with it as best they can and not get, like, super stressed over stuff, it seems. Man. Alright, so... I realized as I was in the midst of saying that, there was commentary in the chat on, like, which platform may have more delay than the other, or something like that. I couldn't really tell you for sure. Honestly, I don't know why either one would have particularly more or less delay than another. Honestly, as far as what I see coming up on each, well, you know what, the delay is significant enough on both that it's a little hard to tell. Which is really weird, because it seems almost like the delay that I'm finding as I see the, like, kind of stream previews is, like, way more delayed than I would think it should be. Although, let's see here. So I dropped about 3,000 frames really early on in the stream. Assuming 60 frames a second, that would put it at, what, about 50 seconds worth of delay? But I think if the feed gets refreshed for anybody viewing, then that doesn't really matter. By the way, the Twitch chat is faster. Oh, sorry, but by the way, the chat is faster on YouTube, but the video is faster on Twitch. Huh. Okay. That's, yeah. That is weird. But if you note, in this convenient overlay that I have in the stream, like, you can maybe even keep track of it yourself. Just below my webcam in the main window there. I think I'm going to be integrating that into, like, regular edited videos before too long as well. Now that I kind of have something figured out for it, I don't want to wait real long to actually get that integrated into the videos, because sometimes I end up following up on things or including conversations in my edited videos that were part of the live stream, and, like, you know, kind of a back and forth with the chat. And up to this point, I've kind of had to edit the chat comments into the videos if they were particularly relevant. But yeah, now with it set up like this, I can just sort of have it there, not have to edit any of that in. The only reason I'm maybe thinking of delaying that a bit is just because of the, because of being in the middle of the Kingdom Hearts series. Because, like, I've had it a certain way pretty much throughout the whole series up to this point. So I'm like, maybe I'll wait until that's done. Well, I guess I could still have it showing in my Bible study videos. It shows up faster on YouTube's side, but you react to it when it shows up on Twitch. Well, okay, so I react quicker when it shows up on Twitch, probably because I'm looking over in this direction, which is closer to where the Twitch chat shows up. I have to look over this way a bit to see what's coming from YouTube. So, really, if I want this to be a bit more streamlined, I should swap what's on my screens. So then when I'm looking over this way, I can kind of see more of the combined chat. Because OBS has it built in to where I can see both chats like you're seeing just below me. Thanks to Stream Elements. But, yeah. Because I have my OBS window over here, which is kind of not where I'm looking while I'm playing my games, I have to, like, sort of intentionally look over a little bit to see anything like that. But the window where I have the, like, kind of Twitch management is a little closer to where the gaming screen is. So, yeah. Really, I should probably flip that around. Have the Twitch management be more over here. OBS and YouTube on this screen. So then I have the multi-chat sitting there. And then I can more easily notice and engage with both chats. Even as I'm playing games. In any case, thanks for coming in and chatting for a while. Kind of helped me wake up a little bit. Man, I was feeling tired. Like, to the point where I was thinking about wrapping up the stream, like, almost half an hour ago. And that's part of the reason I don't mess with streaming much. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely more that can potentially go awry when streaming. Because, you know, you gotta have a pretty stable internet connection. And there's all sorts of things with, like, the stream management software, or if you open up something in a website that wants to have a bunch of ads and slows things down, then it's suddenly like, oh, not only does it slow down whatever you're trying to do on the website page there, but it also might just completely crash your stream. All sorts of things like that. It's just... yeah. But I really definitely should think about making that, you know, display swap on my end. I don't even necessarily think I would have to change too many... I don't think I'd have to change too many settings in OBS. Anyway, Hey, Roxy, just got my 9th Horde Mimic. Like, encountered your 9th Horde Mimic or, like, added your 9th one to your collection. Because that could be quite a difference. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't deal with doing the explore stuff enough to encounter a ton of Horde Mimics lately. Okay, so you have 9 in your collection. Yeah. Explore battles nowadays are something that I just kind of set to auto battle when I'm engaged with something else, but I also want to make progress in Gems of War. So, like, sometimes if I'm, I don't know, like, in the evenings when I'm about to get ready for bed and do that kind of stuff, I might just start an explore run, set it to auto battle, and then, like, okay, now I'll go brush my teeth. And do other stuff like that. How long have I been playing? I have been playing Gems of War, honestly, I think for the majority of its existence. I didn't realize that fact until just recently, I think, but, I mean, Gems of War has been around a bit over 10 years at this point. I've been playing since I had my Xbox 360, I think. And not long after my move to Texas, which was roughly 10 years ago. But I think I caught on to it, like, summer after my first year there, so that probably would have been more like 9 years ago. Yeah, so, like, I've been playing for about 9 years, but I'm not necessarily, like, the most active person in the game. So it's not like I do every single possible thing, and, like, I don't necessarily have all the different troops that might have become available through certain events and things like that. Of course, there's some of them I don't have just because I didn't feel like paying money, like real-world money, to get any of the, like, kind of season passes or anything like that that would be required for me to get the troop when it was most easily available. Otherwise, I just kind of rely on luck and, you know, if it shows up in the Soul Forge or in a chest I open. But I do have the vast majority of things in the game. Some of the stuff I've been lacking on, though, is, especially lately, I haven't been able to do the dungeon stuff so much. So I haven't been getting the Dragonite to make some of the newer dragons that you have to, like, I guess, craft in the forge. You know, either through, like, hatching the eggs from there or other stuff like that. Oh, sorry. Again, YouTube chat being over here. It's, yeah, Zen, I noticed your one comment just now about catching up, even though it's probably been sitting there a while. Yeah, so, I mean, while I'm certainly not, like, exploding in popularity or anything, but, you know, it's like, well, not to no disrespect to you or anything like that, but it's like, well, hey, I'm making quicker progress than this person, so at least there's that. Or gaining followers quicker, or whatever. Anyway. Game I might enjoy that's very similar style. Oh, I mean... yeah, there's a whole bunch of, like... match 3 type stuff, especially in the, like, Puzzle Quest branch. This is the one that I have decided to stick around with. A, because they keep adding more and more stuff to it, even after 10 years. And B, because, you know, it's a relatively simple game that I can halfway turn my brain off for. And almost kind of do stuff in this, even while, like, editing videos and more actively focusing on other stuff. But, what is this game that you have in mind, Zint? I have a bad habit of stagnation. I mean, I think stagnation happens to everybody at some point or another. Like, especially if you're not doing what's just, like, super popular in the moment. Like, if I really wanted to gain a following quicker, I'd be playing Fortnite or Marvel Rivals or, you know, Valorant, Overwatch, all sorts of the, you know, big popular, especially multiplayer games, or the, like, absolute newest of the new kind of games. I was talking about Puzzle Quest. Okay. Specifically, Challenge of Warlords. Heh. Alright, throat is also doing some weird stuff, or like, not even necessarily my throat. I don't know, something like up around here. So I think y'all noted, what, like a 7-second delay in between chat messages and me responding to it. It almost feels like the delay is more than that between when I'm saying stuff and, I mean, yeah, I realize typing in a chat comment can take a couple of seconds as well, but it seems like there's even more of a delay than that in between when I say something and when I see a comment in the chat that's, like, following up on the thing that I've said. But no other frames have been dropped since very early in the stream, so it's not like any delays should be getting worse. But while it's on my mind, I'm a little curious to look into my collection here, and so there's kind of my my collection completion, I guess. It's RPG Match 3 that has a similar gem style. Talking about Puzzle Quest. Yeah. There was actually... I think I briefly played a little bit of some Puzzle Quest game or another, because I saw it in an ad and I thought it looked interesting, but I just didn't really keep up with it. Wow, really? 15.8 second delay? Jeez. Now, I don't know if that might also be because of, like, just me. That might just be how I'm seeing it in, like, the stream management stuff. I can't say I know for sure if I refreshed that, if maybe there would be less of a delay. So, I mean, I guess I could try that out. If you're willing to give me a couple seconds. Tell you what, let me try refreshing Twitch's stream preview first. Well, now, at least, what I'm doing in the game and what I'm seeing on Twitch doesn't seem to have as much of a delay. Can't speak to chat engagement on that front as of yet. That does make me wonder if then YouTube might also catch up in my stream preview if I refresh that page. Yeah. Also, if I don't like immediately react exactly to whatever chat comments, that also makes it harder to say whether that has gotten any better. See, and especially when I was in Texas and my Wi-Fi signal was apparently not as good, I was less inclined to refresh those pages because I was like, wait, maybe that'll put a little more strain on the Wi-Fi or the internet signal for a moment, and it might actually just make the problem worse. Hopefully not, yeah. Alright, so, now if you heard that just now, there was only like maybe a second in between when I saw that comment on Twitch and when I responded to it. Yeah, with how much more stable the signal seems to be, at least in my current situation here in PA, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's refresh pages and see if that'll help fix or at least lessen the delay issues. But I was just commenting so you could get an idea of how much delay there was in between whenever you sent your chat comment and when you heard me respond to it. Just saying, dude, there's still a couple seconds delay, but it does not seem as bad. Yeah, so maybe my own stream preview had something to do with it. Because, I mean, those were, until I refreshed the pages, open the whole time that I was streaming. So any dropped frames, any other things that would have caused any kind of delay or desynchronization would have all just been there. Maybe I looked at it funny. Sometimes that seems to be all it takes. It's just a funny look or some random other thing that you don't even know is happening somewhere in the background. But hey, I don't call myself that random Christian gamer for nothing. I try and roll with the punches on these things. Although sometimes I will confess I do get a little bit frustrated when something like seemingly really significant for stream engagement or whatever is like having major issues. Or if any of the other technology is really not behaving. I'll have to try to get a big recording session going again. Yeah, I gotta say, with my own current situation, I'm admittedly having a hard time keeping up just with my own channel and Same Spirit Gaming. Never mind the possible third one. Of course, if I find my own place, then that might get a little better, because A, I might be, or I probably will be, a bit closer to work and have less driving time. And also, there will be less time spent just, you know, just spending time with my folks, kind of sort of as a way of, you know, thanking them for letting me stay with them as I make this transition. Of course, I'm also thinking about, especially after I get my own place, I might add another thing or two to my schedule. You know, for example, like stuff at church that I would volunteer to help out with. Yeah, I don't know. It just... There was a lot of stuff that I had notions of doing before my current situation, especially, you know, when I was doing the AI work and not actually, like, working a typical 40 hours a week. It was like, okay, yeah, I've got plenty of time to do this, that, and the other thing. Why not? But now I'm coming up against schedule problems where it's like, can I even fit this all in? I'm not sure. Life, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I mean, life does happen, and it's kind of unpredictable, so, I don't know, I'm just I'm in a little bit of a holding pattern, waiting to see what all I might or might not be able to, you know, actively engage in on a regular basis. Kind of holding off on making too many judgments there until I get my own place and can more easily set and adjust my own schedule. Because right now, some of the stuff I'm doing is kind of trying to revolve things a little bit around family schedules and, like, who all is active in the house when, and basically trying to minimize my own possible chances of getting interrupted by said family members as I'm trying to stream and or record and other things like that. Do I have any idea when that might come about? Not particularly. I mean, I am somewhat actively looking at apartments. I toured one place this week. But I don't know. I mean, the goal is to have that figured out by, like, the end of August. Partially because that's when my, as of the moment, temporary change of address would expire, and I would have to either find a new place, like an apartment, or renew that to a permanent change of address. So, yeah. So, yeah, I can't really say too much for sure when it would happen, but hopefully within that time frame. Hopefully it won't take that long. Yeah. I've been mostly just gathering preliminary information in, like, the past few weeks to maybe a month. Now I'm kind of getting into the phase of things where I'm, like, looking to schedule tours and talk with people more directly and, you know, get a fuller sense of what each place is like and whether or not I want to rent an apartment there. Now, not that I think this is a problem, and I, you know, don't want to make it seem too much like I have misaligned my priorities or anything like that, but trying to keep up with just my, you know, my videos and my content and stuff like that has probably taken away quite a bit of time that otherwise, if I weren't doing this, could easily pour into apartment searching and other stuff like that. I do not hope it will ever come to the point where I feel like I need to stop making videos or streaming or anything like that. But I will admit, like, it takes a little time out of the week. And if I weren't spending time on that, I could be spending it on some things that most people might deem a little bit more important. That's why you don't make edited content. Yeah, well... I would like to think the live streaming and the editing that I do at least contribute a bit to my channel's seemingly a bit faster growth. Although I also don't know how... I don't know off the top of my head, at least, how long your channel has been active. Because I've noticed mine has generally, you know, gone on sort of a linear upward trend. As far as, like, how much it has grown year over year and that kind of stuff. So yeah, mine seems to be more of a pretty continual and consistent upward slope. The way you're describing yours, it's more like just nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. Which may or may not even out to being any kind of similar. But, I don't look too much into, you know, comparing stuff like that. Alright. Had a channel since I think around 2017, but it had a couple large spurts in the last few years. Yeah, and I'm betting those large spurts had to do with particular games that you played. Because, I don't know, as far as what I've seen, it seems like the biggest driving factor in the growth of a gaming channel is essentially what game they're playing at the moment. That's not necessarily always the most recent games or the ones with the most active player base, but generally it's those that have a larger following at the moment than just any old random game. But, you know, spurts of growth in a channel is definitely better to go through and deal with than, like, continuing to do something that you don't really like anymore just because you feel like, you know, you gotta do it for the sake of your channel and or your viewers or whatever. So, I mean, technically I've had a channel since like 2016 myself, but it has changed forms so many times. I only really got serious about it probably back like 5 years ago, if that. And I say serious relatively. It only looked even remotely like it does now, starting back about 5 years ago. what, you know what? I've pretty much done all the invasion battles that I can do now. So, that, takes care of most of this week's guild event. I say most because, you know, other days in the week will add more battles that I can do in this event. And there go the Twitch ads. Although some people don't seem to end up seeing them. And I literally have no idea why that is or isn't the case sometimes. I know there's, like, occasionally some stuff with pre-roll. And maybe if somebody saw pre-roll ads, then they don't see the next normal ad break or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to keep this stream going too much longer today. Could do some Underspire. I've really kind of been ignoring the Underspire in recent weeks. Basically since the move to Pennsylvania. Ugh. But yeah, and you know, Zant, I realize we've got the one other channel idea in the works that I'm not going to say the name of in case it never actually ends up being a thing. Or so I'm not spoiling it before it actually fully happens. But, you know, if you end up wanting to collab on another Same Spirit Gaming video sometime, I'm sure Jordan and I are pretty much always open to that. Yeah, I guess there are certain times when trying to collab with particular people strikes me a little bit more just because I might, like, associate a certain person with the type of game that one of us might be playing at a given moment. But yeah, I don't know, we might be coming up on at least one of our active games ending here pretty soon. So that might be you know, that might be a good time to just hop in and do something that's more of like a fun group multiplayer thing. curious what I associate with you. So I'd say primarily like sci-fi type stuff. And maybe some other like sort of fantasy, I guess, type situations. Which, I mean, I've been playing Tunic on the channel lately. As far as our recording sessions, that would kind of fit in with like a fantasy theme, I guess. It also feels a little odd inviting somebody for a return visit when it's not gonna be like a multiplayer type situation, if that makes any sense. For the first introduction to collabing on that channel, I'm totally fine with the notion of just being like, hey, we're playing this type of game that I think, you know, fits your style and your preferences. We can just hang out and talk about it. But if they're coming back, I almost want it to be a little more than that. But maybe that's just me. We play such a random assortment of games. And generally speaking, over the course of my life, I also just play such a random assortment of games. But on my own channel, it has been notably less random because I'm going through a series of games. Once I finish up Kingdom Hearts, though, or the Kingdom Hearts games, I should say, like, all bets are off. Now, I might get back into doing some of the Assassin's Creed stuff, but I think I'm also going to try and sort of stagger it like I was doing before, where I've got 2 games that I'm playing through simultaneously. Pretty much just down for whatever you guys are wanting to do. Fair enough. I also at some point, like, I don't know if it'll happen ever, but I think it would also be potentially fun and interesting to, like, especially more so for the conversational part of things. There's a couple of friends and former coworkers of mine who have their own podcast. That I think it could be interesting to have them on as guests. But yeah, I don't know. There's all sorts of possibilities, but also when I'm kind of on the busier side myself, it's not always something that comes to the forefront of my mind to be like, oh, hey, I should try and reach out to people to strike up collabs for Same Spirit Gaming. Anyway, I really honestly am more so just engaged in the conversation. I just happen to be playing the game in the meantime. Because, again, this is one where I, like, don't really have to put too much thought into it. I'm familiar enough with the game that it's like, okay, I kind of know what I'm going for with this team that I have set up. And I could just kind of know what matches to make accordingly. to set them up for that. Alright. Well, I am kind of thinking pretty soon here I might just wrap up the stream. This being more the casual hangout, just chilling with chat sort of vibe. It's something that I like to do, but also admittedly, like, if I do less of this, I can do more of like the editing or the other, even more, you know, IRL-related adulting type things. Like the apartment hunting and all that type of stuff. Or shoot, even beyond that, like setting up a dentist appointment or figuring out how I'm supposed to access my one health savings account that I have through my work now. Yeah, the post-move logistics and post-new job logistics have all, or mostly, just taken longer than I hoped for. Okay, hang on. I just got a text message. Ah. Oh. Gotcha. Okay, nothing super important. I'm like, what do I want to respond with? I'll just keep it simple. Also, all sorts of other notifications on my phone, jeez. Okay. But enough of that. Alright. Well, unless there is something else we wish to discuss, I may start wrapping things up for the stream. Oh, that was interesting. Like, okay. Why the change in viewership? Sorry, I've been paying somewhat, you know, somewhat paying attention to the viewer count on Twitch as things have been happening, and it was like, went from not much activity to, you know, once the chat got rolling a little bit, then, alright, it picked up to, like, maybe 3 active viewers, or then, like, a little ways after that got rolling, then I was up to, like, 5 viewers, and now I'm back down to 2, and just the fluctuations and things like that, and it's like, okay, it just kind of makes me wonder why, just a little bit. But okay. Like I said, let me know if and when you want to do a collab. Yeah, sure. Alrighty. I believe I will wrap things up with that. So yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm trying to figure out somebody to raid over on Twitch in the meantime. But yeah, so I'm not really sure what I'll end up doing for next week's Hangout stream or whatever. But, could be more Kingdom Hearts, could be more Gems of War. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Hang on. I thought I saw somebody was... Yeah. Okay. That's it. Thanks for hanging out, as well as anybody else who's been in the stream and chatting and whatnot. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope you have a good week or whatever. Until I see you next time. Keep in mind, I also stream on Saturdays. Those are really early, though, so I understand if you can't make it to those. So, yeah. Until the next time I see you, hope y'all have a good time with whatever you're needing to do. But whatever ends up happening, till then, stay cool, everybody.